Hello friends, welcome to the video series of Chess with the Chess course. We now move on to the second lesson in middle game tactics and combination, that is knight fork. In the first tactic which we had learned was pin, and now is the time to learn double attack. This is in two stages. Basically knight fork means a double attack, and like double attack can be done by all the pieces. So I have divided this in two parts. First we'll be looking exclusively at a double attack by a knight, which is known as knight fork, and then in the next part we'll have a look at double attack by the remaining pieces. So what is a knight fork? Well, when the knight attacks two or more chessmen at the same time, it is called a knight fork. And for a beginner, like knight fork is hardest to see for them because of its ungeometrical way of moving. But like if you carefully examine how a knight moves, then you will come to know that it moves from white to black and black to white. It can never land on the same color. So here in this position, like when the knight is on a white square, it will land on a black square and then attack all the white square. So if you can calculate this way, you will be able to see how the knight is like able to attack. You will be able to foresee the knight fork. So this is white to play, and here in one move, one hop, step and jump to c7, white attacks no less than 4 chessmen of enemy. He checks the king, at the same time attacks the queen on e6, rook on a6 and rook on a8, and after king moves out of pin here, say for example, then white will be able to win the queen. So this was just a basic position of knight fork. Let us now move ahead to the next one. Here in this position, we see black knights have made inroads into the enemy camp. Both the knights have breached the fortress of white and are in a good position. But what has white done? Now he is threatening to exchange them. He has like bishop into e4, he can play bishop into c3, and then if like any of the knight moves away, there is also like queen in a position to help his pieces in capturing on that particular square. But the problem of placement of white queen is like difficult. He is in the same line as of the bishop here on f5, and this allowed black to create a discovered attack. It's a theme of 2. So a discovered attack followed by a knight fork. So no hesitation in playing knight into g3. And now here what do we find? Basically we find that all pieces of black in this position can be captured. For example, here like we see bishop can capture knight. This knight on h4 can capture the bishop which is attacking the queen. Queen can capture on c3. Queen can as well capture on g3, but each of them leads to a deadly knight fork. Let us first examine. Queen needs to get out of the way, so he plays queen into g3, and now knight fork comes from knight into e2 check, and at the same time attacks the king. We call it knight fork. After king moves to safety, gets out of check, black is in a position to play knight into g3, winning the queen. Let us examine all variation. What if like queen captures on c3? Well, in that case, the knight fork comes from the other knight, that is the one on g3, and that is knight captures e2. Again the same result, king moves out of check and queen is lost. Insufficient compensation for white of having lost queen to 2 minor pieces. So we move ahead with the next example. I hope you have been able to understand the one I had showed you. And now let us have a look at this, that how the knight fork can come. Here in this position, what do we see? that white has a bishop on a very good diagonal, open diagonal. Bishop needs diagonals to operate, and he is looking for a deadly in this position, knight f6 check. But we find that black has a good defender on knight on d7. So here, like, white had no hesitation in offering his queen for a sacrifice. He plays queen captures d7, destroys, eliminates that vital defender on d7. And now here, after bishop into d7, there comes knight f6 check, and what do we see? It's a knight fork also, knight attacks, the rook on e8, bishop on e7. Now this check forces the king in line of the bishop on h8. That means now once the knight moves, it will be a discovered check to the black king. Now where should knight move? Well, the winning move is not difficult to guess for you. You can, like, just capture the rook on e8, and what does it do? It discovers the check from the bishop on b2. The knight at the same time now also threatens queen. So once the king moves out of check, say to g8, white is able to regain the material he has sacrificed. He emerges better on material count. In this position now he has 2 rooks and 3 minor pieces as compared to a rook and 2 minor pieces of black, leading to an easy win. I hope you have understood how the knight fork comes. Our next example in the series. Well, here, like, knight fork can come about with knight f6 by moving to f6, but then black is not worried of the knight. He can move to safety, but then, like, knight fork comes out of blue as was experienced by black in this position. White started with knight f6, and now we see that bishop on g7, of course, is not in a position to capture the knight because it is under pin. Now he has 2 replies, king to h8, which was played in the actual game, and king f7, but both gives same result. He played king to h8, and now here white had no hesitation in playing queen into g7. Beautiful queen sacrifice. And after force king into g7, you can see now that the knight fork comes from e8 square, knight e8, at the same time attacking the queen. So after king moves out of check, say king to f7, white emerges better on material count with knight captures d6. And like, you can try to search for compensation, but that is not enough. Here simply white can just again play knight c8, and again it's a knight fork winning a pawn. Our concluding example in this series is how to bring about a knight fork. Well, basically you have to remember one thing: I have to bring pieces in relation to a knight. That is, we call bring pieces at a knight square distance. This is how white is able to bring pieces in knight at a knight square distance. We see the king open. So here, like, white had no hesitation. Say for example, let us look at the knight on c5. Knight is attacking the bishop, and then it attacks the queen. But the king is not in proper place. The king needs to be on f8. So then it will be like what we say, the pieces at a real knight square distance. So the winning idea is easy to guess. White played queen f8 check. This forces in this position rook into f8, and after rook into f8 check, king into f8. Now we see the stage is set for a knight fork, as all the pieces are in proper relation to the white's knight on c5. There comes knight d7 with a check, and after king moves to e8, white is able to recapture the queen, and you can see that he has emerged better on material count. I hope you have understood the examples I had shown you in night 4, and now we will stop here. What I now suggest is that you have to solve part 1 of the test position followed by part 2 and part 3. There are 6 problems in each of them, and I will come back with the solutions to all these 18 problems in the next part of this series. Till then, bye for now.